Welcome back to the LPR Trading Group YouTube channel. It's Dave again. I've got another video for you guys today, and what I want to talk about today is I just want to go over the footprint chart. I know we're combining ICT models with our order flow, but there's a million ICT videos on YouTube. You guys know what it's all about. We will definitely continue going over them, but I really want to go through this footprint chart in fine detail. And I want to talk about two things really. I want to talk about aggressive buying and aggressive selling. This is what we're using on this footprint chart in order to identify areas that we could possibly be interested in entering the market. So this can work for bigger picture like intraday trend trades. This can work for scalp type trades. I want to go through this whole day candle by candle and just see what we can make out of it, okay? So we're going to start off the day at like 4 a.m. back here and look at some of this pre-market action. Now, the market opened right about here, and we'll go all the way back to this area. I'm going to mark up a few areas along the way, and we'll go through them. So what we can see right now, back way into the 4 a.m. here, we've got these sellers that came in off of a weak high here, right? Sellers, which are the red negative deltas, came in off of a weak high. Buyers failed to drive it higher, and we came back up and we rejected this area. I typically don't trade back into this time zone or time frame. I like to wait for the open and maybe, trade back to about 8 o'clock, but I'm just going over some of these things for you guys so you guys can get a glimpse of what this chart's all about. Okay, so we've got 909 right here. This is the 909 print. These are Renko charts. So the times at the bottom, it's not going to be like a 1 minute chart or a 5 minute chart. It's going to be an 8 tick, 10 tick Renko. We're using the 8 tick right now. So what I would do right here on this chart automatically, and maybe I'll mark it up with some of the tools inside of here, I would draw a little rectangle here to start. Why? We've got price trying to drive through highs. It's getting weak. It can't drive through the highs, and aggressive sellers come into the market. Okay? We start driving price forward. What does price do? 931, we come back into these aggressive sellers. We can see this, right? Aggressive sellers, stacks of negative deltas. These are people aggressively selling off the highs. We even close these bars with sell imbalances to the downside, more sell imbalances, lots of aggressive selling in this area. Price comes back to this area. What does it do? It rejects off of the aggressive selling. How can we use this and combine order flow with ICT concepts? Simple. If you find one of your models, your ICT models, whether it's like the power of three, we've got accumulation, manipulation, and we're starting the distribution phase, and this falls in line with your ICT model, this is another very, very strong puzzle piece to get short. If you're just looking at footprint charts and you're just trading order flow, you can also just look at the footprints and trade very, very well. We'll move this chart over one print at a time. So we very cleanly reject off this area. Maybe you're targeting these lows for 6 or 7 points. We get some more aggressive selling down in this area. This area here, I'd be interested. This print looks like it's going to close here, reopen, and it could possibly drive up to fill these prints in before we get some more downside. Okay, we'll move this over a little bit. We don't drive up as high as we wanted to, but we do drive into a bulky set of prints here. We print more aggressive selling below. This means that the market is weak, okay? One thing that I want you guys to notice here is you see how this low has very blocky aggressive selling, negative 175, negative 155. Very blocky aggressive selling. This is telling me that this low is going to be taken again. You see how this low down here doesn't have a lot of aggressive selling and price drives up off of this low? It tells me for now, the short term or potentially long term, this low is somewhat completed. We drive sideways again. What do? We drive up into the aggressive selling, and we drive right back down. The market wants to come back and fill up those aggressive sellers to pick up any orders that were possibly left over from these aggressive sellers hitting the market bid. We pop over a little bit. Now what do we got here? This was aggressive selling right here. Okay, price is pushed up above this aggressive selling. One thing that I don't see though is I don't see large stacks of buyers trying to drive price higher. Okay, they found a low here temporarily. Sellers have failed to accept below the low, but buyers are not putting a lot of pressure onto the upside. So I'd be very weary in this instance. We drive a little bit higher. We have a few more buyers coming in. Where are we sitting though? within this stack of sellers, we have to be careful, okay? Price moves up higher, still not a ton of buying coming in, not largely convinced. We move up higher once again, back into this selling area. Let's drag this over. We move back into these sellers that were sitting up here, and price starts rejecting again. If we're looking below price, is there anywhere we would be seriously considering a buy here? For me, not really. There are a few positive delta nodes here, but I would much rather see a large delta node or a stack, okay? We move. Price holds off these guys sometimes as well, don't get me wrong, but it's just not something I'm largely interested in, okay? I'm more interested in something like this, where there's a few stacks of prints here, and price will drive back up, fill those prints in before it wants to start moving lower. Let's move over again. We've got this 173, 253, 136 area. Could be interesting. See if we hold. What do? We drive back right up into this area, hold, and where does price go? Back to the downside. Why? Because look, we have aggressive sellers here. We want to go back to those sellers and fill in that action before we make a move. Dave, what happens if price goes up and breaks through these sellers? We need to start looking long now. We need to look at the chart back and down to try and figure out where the buyers were on this move, because they've pushed through the aggressive sellers, to see where the buyers are going to pull back to and possibly drive the market to the upside. Anyways, we come back to this aggressive selling. We drive to the downside. We've got more aggressive selling here. What does price do? Price drives from here back up, fills in the aggressive selling, and where does it move? Back down, right? Back down. This is how the market wants to work. It's trying to find this like equilibrium, balanced areas, and liquidity as it's ebbing, flowing around, okay? So people that are getting chopped up are not looking at this type of action, okay? Or they're not using an order flow or ICT concept. In my opinion, the best way to use them is to combine them. I don't care that order flow traders are saying ICT is dumb. I don't care that ICT is saying order flow traders are dumb. I combine them and it works magic for me, and I'm just trying to show you guys what I've got figured out here for me, okay? Price continues to drive down. What do we want to do? Large stacks of orders. Price wants to come back and have a look at those orders, okay? Now, here's an example. These two orders here, price is beginning to drive above these orders. Sellers are failing to accept below the lows, and we have buy imbalances. This is lighting a red flag in my head, okay? What does price do? It starts driving to the upside. An area we might want to look at for buyers to hold could be this area down here. Price never wants to get back here. We start reversing. We start driving back up. I would still be looking for this area down here. I mean, arguably you could play this stack. This area is better in my opinion. I would probably miss this trade if it goes from here. Actually, this was a trade today. This was a trade, we'll talk about it after. I don't want to get too caught up in it. So we hold this little stack here, we drive up, we drive back down, we mess around. We've got a big minus 756 here. Maybe you can be shorting it. I would probably leave it alone. I would wait for something like this area to get refilled if I wanted a short. Those single prints, or those single deltas like that, they can work. They're just not super reliable for me. Okay, I would rather a stack. So now we're coming down into these buyers. Let's see if they're going to hold. It looks like there's a lot of aggressive selling in this area. It wouldn't surprise me if we drive straight through. Here are the buyers. Sellers really started petering off on this candle, right? They were aggressive here as soon as we got into this area. What happened? The sellers started petering off, and we got some aggressive buy orders to the upside. Again, this is not telling us that we're going to get this large reversal and see high of day. This could be it. This move right off here for 4 points to the upside could be all the market needs to just relieve this pressure before moving lower, okay? What do? We turn around and start moving lower, okay? There's a bid trying to hit here at minus 708, so a passive bid. That's a passive buyer, and sellers are just trashing straight through him. Even notice on these prints, as we're aggressively moving down, I know they're single deltas, single printed deltas, but now we're trending, and the market doesn't have very much time to print these candles. Like these candles are literally like 16 seconds, right? What does the market do? We close here. When we reopen, what do? We come retest the seller that was applying pressure. We move down. Print opens here. What do? We come back and retest who? The seller that was applying pressure at the market. Okay? Move through, move through. We've got lots of selling into these lows. And this right here is an indication to me that we could possibly get a short-term reversal. What do I want to look for now on the top side? On the top side, I want to see if we can get very blocky buyers coming in. What do I mean by that? Stacks of buyers like this, price trading above them, and look for a pullback into them to get long. Right now, I don't see anything that I really, really love. That's a bid that's holding price, so a bid moved up there. That's good for buyers if you can hold. Price is driving up. We come back to this 118,376. Questionable for me. It's a large order, but like I said earlier, the probability of these large orders holding, I find, is less. You could still play them. They still do work. We've seen 2 or 3 of them that work just fine. Price starts driving to the upside. Now we get this little reversal off the high. We've got an order up here. This is a passive seller, 1,319 contracts, okay? Passively sitting on the offer. Aggressive buyers tried to hit him, couldn't get through him for now, and price rolled over, okay? Let's see what happens here. Price is pulling down. Now we're inside of a consolidation, right? We're just inside of a balance range here. We found a low, we found a high, we found a buyer, we found a seller. We're inside of a balance range. These ranges are the hardest to trade. I stay away from them personally until the market tells me what it wants to do. Large seller comes in and he icebergs this order. I'll tell you right now, this seller at the high, if the market moves down from here, there is like an 80+% chance by the end of the day, this area is going to get retested. Why? This guy who's selling here has more orders to get filled, and there's a lot of people that sold with this guy, retail, and maybe algos that sold with this guy. Where are their stops going to be? Right over this guy. Even if the market dies, it's going to want to come back and retest that area because there's going to be a huge pocket of very fishy liquidity up here, okay? Little fish swimming around like this with their stops, and the market's going to want to come eat them all up. Market drives down, and it leaves that block up there. That's very interesting that that iceberg got left up there. It goes back up there by the end of the day, 80% of the time. Price is moving down now. Now we're in this little short-term downtrend. What is the market going to do? Very shallow pullbacks. Just missed this guy by 1 tick. Very shallow pullbacks into the sellers. Market's moving down, down. Can't even get deep enough pullbacks here into these sellers. Just down, 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 down. We try to go for a drive. What does it do? Reject some of our areas up here. Miss this guy by 1 tick. Reject some of these sellers. Starts moving down again. Let's see if we take this low out. Remember I said these lows are unfinished? It's an unfinished low. I want to see failed acceptance with buy-side imbalances here before we call this a true reversal. This could definitely pop up for a little bit, but this low right here, red flag. Start driving up. We get a little pullback in this area. Price rolls over a little bit. What do we do here? We held some of the buyers, right? When we opened here, we pulled back, held some of the buyers, drove up. Price starts rolling over. Uh-oh, we see some sellers. Okay, red flag on the buy side for us. Red flag on the buy side. We have sellers and prices currently trading under the sellers. Red flag on the buy side. Price continues to move down. We hold a little bid. Where do we hold the bid? Right where the block of orders are sitting, or right where the block of aggressive buyers are previously sitting, we hold the bid. Let's move forward a little bit. Where do we sell off against? The aggressive sellers. We pull back into that price action and sell off this area. Eventually, we've got to break one way. We've got to break through these sellers. We've got to break through these buyers, right? Price drives down. What do? We break this low. Okay, let's go back. Remember how I said we've got buyers down here and sellers. Aggressive buyers, aggressive sellers. If we're looking to trade this, right? If we're looking to trade this and we've got this low right here that's unfinished and there's a lot of pressure on the low, this is essentially an iceberg sitting at the low for 636 contracts. Are we more likely to take this long, or should we be taking this short? In my opinion, we should be taking this short. We're anticipating that this low is very weak and it's supposed to get broken, right? Obviously, there's a chance that this high could get broken, that low could get broken later, and there's a good long trade out of here. But if we're just playing numbers and probabilities, we should be taking this short rather than this long, for the simple fact that we think we're going to get back down to this low based off that weak low. Let's continue. Move price forward. Lots of pressure on the sell side still, into the lows, into the lows, into the lows. Sell pressure is starting to weaken at the lows. We do have a lot of sell imbalances here with a lot of red negative delta. This is usually an area where the price wants to just make like a little spring to the upside. It's like exhaustive selling. Okay, some more exhaustive selling. Iceberg on the offer here. This is someone moving down and selling positions as price is moving down. Move forward. Aggressive selling. Aggressive selling. Okay, this is where the action starts. What do we see? Sellers failing to apply extreme pressure into the low. And for the first time, we have this buy imbalance at the low with very little pressure down into the low on the sell side. Look at all these prints. No buy imbalances, no buy imbalances, no buy imbalances, no buy imbalances, no buy imbalances. No buy imbalances into the low. Lots of pressure, lots of pressure. Pressure here, no buy imbalance, lots of pressure into the lows. The reason why these look so small is because we have this guy. So it offsets this whole candle. I disregard it. Lots of pressure, sell imbalances, pressure, sell imbalances. Not a lot of pressure, buy imbalances. Hello. We got to start thinking, if we're in a short, I want to start looking at bailing right now or soon. And if we're not in a trade, I might want to start looking long. What do we need to see for longs? We need to see buyers, buyers over buyers, buyers over buyers. Find some areas like this where price could pull back into, hold, and go. Okay? What do we get now? Buyers, buyers over buyers, buyers over buyers. Lots of buy imbalances here. Lots of buy imbalances here. This right here is going to be a key area for price to get through. Why? This was a passive offer. Someone selling passively on the offer. We need price to get up into this area and drive through it. If we do drive through it, where are we going? Probably to the moon. Why? We've been going down all day. On our charts, we're actually sitting in, let me pull it up here. I know this isn't an ICT or chart video. We're actually sitting inside of this. This is a weekly fair value gap and a weekly volume imbalance. What have we done? Wicked below, printing below. The idea is if we can close back up in this area, this is feeling and looking very strong to me, okay? And I said this in the chat a few times today. If we can close above that 17, we're going to be looking strong for tomorrow, the remainder of the week, and possibly into next week. So what do we got here? Areas that we're looking at on the chart are going to be these areas and this area so far, okay? Move over. What do we do back? What do we do? Short term, pull back, picked up all these buyers and started driving to the upside. Okay, we got through that seller. He wasn't home anymore. Move price over, move price over. Get our tools out so I can just show you guys a little bit easier here. We got this and we've got this. Okay, the two areas we talked about earlier. We pull back, hold, start driving up. We've got buyers. That's good. We drive through this high, which was sort of a weak high, right? We're closing with this big print up at the high. Buyers drive through. What do they do here? This print opens. Let me go to my black. This print opens here, drops back down to where? The aggressive buyers. Then what does it do? Shoots to the roof. It doesn't mean that we're not going to come back down here. I just want a reaction off this. Okay, I want a reaction. If you take all of these trades as a scalp trade, 3, 4 points, 5 points on ES. Go back and look at it. See how many trades you would have had. Okay? And this is where the market goes into liftoff, I suppose. Drives up, drives up. Not showing any sellers. Dave, I was trying to reverse this thing all day, people are saying. When we got this run up, I was trying to reverse this thing all day. Number one, why? We're on a day where we're trending down. Largely trending down. Let's just look at the 5-minute, okay? We're largely trending down on the day. Now we get into this squeeze mode. This is a short squeeze. Everyone, this is such an easy day here for most traders to short. Like if you're just playing like the 21 EMA on the 5-minute, you just short every touch. Short, 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 short. Eventually, what's going to happen is sellers aren't going to want to sell anymore. Buyers are going to want to start buying. And when that happens, you get this. Why? Because there's 2 buys hitting the market now. There's the short covers that are hitting the market, and there's the aggressive longs that are hitting the market to buy, okay? So you've got these double-ended buy orders jamming the market, all right? Guys, if you can't see my face because of the beak of my hat, I'm sorry. I'll figure out the camera situation. Just something that came to my mind there. Anyways, market drives up. Ooh, wow. We got some selling here, right? Selling, selling, selling. Great. Okay, it's fantastic. Go look at your chart. See what's there. If there's nothing, leave it alone. If there's something, what do you want to see? You want to see sellers selling below the sellers. So I would want to see another print open like that with sellers aggressively selling below these sellers. Then what are we doing? When these prints down here open up, look to sell the areas with the sellers. Okay? We didn't get any of that. We're just going straight up. And there's no reason to short this thing. And if you're long, there's no reason to get out. Okay? Little pullback, no sellers below the sellers. Here we go. First time the market sells below the sellers, right? First time, right here. If you're going to look at shorting anything, this would be the spot to try it. I'm not saying this is going to be the short or there's going to be a short on at all. But if you were looking to short something, this would be the spot to try it. I would obviously look at my chart as well. Are we in any areas? You know, are we sweeping any highs, taking any draws? Are we inside any like PD arrays on the day? We drive up into this area. Candles printing largely green. The sellers are failing to accept price lower. Little red flag here. Buy and bounce to the upside. This could be the low set in for a move through the highs. Where do we reject? Remember how I said we just want a reaction, okay? It doesn't mean we're going to sell off the sellers and hit low of day. We want a reaction, all right? If you were selling the area where the sellers were, what were you selling? Let's say 43.15.75. If you just scalped off 3, 4, 5 points, like I said, that could be just your little scalp model, your little scalp trade, right? Sell it, take it out 3, 4 points, whatever it is, call it done. Where does the market go now? Let's get this hand back. Now we go up and through the highs, okay? Up and through the highs, go for a drive, in a point of control on the day. What does the market continue to do every single time? Large aggressive buyers, print opens, pulls back, fills up those buyers, and then we continue to drive higher. Same with this one. Opens, pulls back, fills up the buyers, continues to drive higher. Same with this one. I mean, I feel like it's boring just telling you guys this over and over, but this is just what happens in order flow and inside the market, right? We open, we pull back, fill these buyers up. What does the market do? It wants to drive to the upside. Okay, we continue going. We're getting to 3 o'clock, a time that I'm really usually not interested in trading. The market rolls over a little bit. Big order here at the top. We've got a few sellers, not a ton, few more sellers. Would I try and turn this thing around and short this at this point? Probably not, to be honest with you. Okay, probably not. Nice little failed acceptance lower right here. I want you guys to get this picture ingrained in your mind. You've got failed acceptance lower. That means sellers are failing to continue pressure into the lows. You've got a buy side imbalance. It typically means price is going to move its way to the upside. Would I just buy this thing blindly? Definitely not, right? But I would wait for this to happen as price starts driving up and I see large buyers start hitting the market and buyers are coming in over buyers. If this opens, we could look for a pullback into this area, okay? Make this the first time it didn't work today. There we go, okay? So we get through the buyers. Trade's wrong. Trade's wrong. You stop out, you move on. We're going to continue going here. 3:30. The market gets hairy in this area anyways. 3:37. Like this is all time of day that I wouldn't be trading. We roll over a little bit. There's a few situations here where we're popping back up into previous sellers. we don't get back to these previous sellers. Looks like we're just peeling off here. Failed acceptance lower. Buy side, price drives up. Print opens. It fills all these buy sides in. This one comes down a little bit further, probably an extra 5 ticks before we start moving to the upside. And then we're 5 minutes before close, 10 minutes before close, and the algos start firing. Okay, guys, that was a long-winded video. I wanted to take you guys through this chart, though, because, like I said, I think most of you guys understand the ICT or ICT concepts. I wanted to really go over the order flow concepts with you guys so you guys understand every single video I post in the future and how it can help you guys in your trading and with your ICT order flow trading and how you guys are going to gel it all together here, all right? So, as always, thank you for everything. Like, comment, subscribe. I will get back to every single comment down below. You guys have a fantastic day. Good luck on the charts. Trade safe. Cheers.